The Opposite of Loneliness, written and narrated by Peter J. Merrick. The loneliest years of my life were not after my marriage ended. They were while I was married. 20 years ago, if someone had told me I would one day write those words, I would have smiled politely and wondered if they had skipped breakfast. Apparently, life had already read the last chapter while I was still arguing about the first. Before I go any further, let me say something important. This is not about blame. Every relationship is made up of two imperfect people. I was one of them. The older I become, the less interested I am in proving I was right, and the more interested I am in understanding what life was trying to teach me. This isn't really an article about marriage. It's about belonging, because I've learned they are two very different subjects. For years, I believed loneliness meant living alone. I was wrong. There is a loneliness that comes from an empty apartment, but there is another loneliness that is far more difficult to describe. It is waking up beside another person and still feeling unseen. It is talking without feeling understood. It is realizing that somewhere along the journey, two people continued sharing a home but quietly stopped sharing themselves. I know that place. When my marriage ended, everyone assumed I would become lonely. If I'm honest, so did I. Instead, life surprised me. I started writing again. I started swimming again. Most mornings, I grabbed a coffee and wandered through Little Italy or UTC here in San Diego. No destination, no shopping list, no deadline, just walking. One morning, I sat on a bench doing what old farts have probably been doing for centuries, watching people while pretending not to. Children laughed. Friends caught up over breakfast. Older couples walked by so slowly that I thought, these people have figured something out. Then I watched younger people speed past carrying bags full of things they absolutely had to buy, until next month's credit card bill arrived. Apparently, this old fart was quietly judging everyone else's shopping while holding a coffee that cost more than my first hourly wage. Perspective is an interesting thing. Then something struck me. I'd been sitting there alone for almost an hour. No phone, no music, no urgency, just a coffee and my own thoughts. Years ago, I would have called that loneliness. Today, I call it peace. That was the morning I realized something had changed. I was alone. I wasn't lonely. Those are not the same thing. Being alone is where our body happens to be. Loneliness is where our heart believes it belongs. Once I understood that, I stopped counting the number of people in my life. I started paying attention to the depth of the connections I already had. That is a very different way to measure wealth. Recently, I listened to a discussion about what researchers are calling the loneliness epidemic. The numbers are remarkable. Never before have we had so many ways to communicate. Never before have so many people quietly admitted they feel disconnected. We can send a message around the world in seconds. We can watch strangers tell us about their lives every day. We know what someone had for dinner before we know how the person next door is doing. Technology has made us remarkably reachable. It has not guaranteed that we will be known. As I listened, I found myself thinking about one of the most fascinating behavioral experiments ever conducted, Universe 25. Behavioral scientist John B. Calhoun created what appeared to be paradise for mice. Unlimited food, unlimited water, safe shelter, no predators, everything they needed. If comfort alone created flourishing, the experiment should have become a perfect society. Instead, something slowly disappeared. Not food, not safety, not comfort, connection. Some mothers abandoned their young. Many mice withdrew from social life. Calhoun described a group he called the beautiful ones. They avoided responsibility. They avoided struggle. They avoided relationships. They simply existed. Now, before anyone emails me, yes, I know, we're not mice. I checked this morning. Still no whiskers. That was never the point. Universe 25 isn't important because it explains mice. It's important because it forces us to ask uncomfortable uncomfortable questions about ourselves. What happens when comfort quietly replaces purpose? What happens when convenience slowly replaces community? For thousands of years, human beings survived because we belonged. Families depended on one another. Neighbors depended on one another. Communities depended on one another. Belonging wasn't optional. It was survival. Today, we can work from home, shop from home, order food from home, watch movies from home, exercise from home. We can spend an entire weekend without speaking to another human being. Life has become wonderfully convenient, but I wonder, if we no longer need one another, will we eventually stop choosing one another? Perhaps the greatest poverty in modern society isn't financial. Perhaps it is relational. Perhaps we have become so busy communicating that we have forgotten how to connect. Perhaps we have confused attention with love, followers with friendship, recognition with acceptance. Perhaps the greatest tragedy is not that so many people are alone. Perhaps it is that so many people no longer feel they belong. The last few years have taught me something I never expected. I am not waiting for life to begin. I am living it. I have stopped asking the outside world to give me the peace that had to be built within me. That doesn't mean I value people less. It means I value them more. Friendship has become something I cherish. A meaningful conversation has become one of life's greatest gifts. A shared laugh has become richer. Silence has become comfortable. Connection has become sacred. Before I finish, I should probably admit something. I don't have the answers to life's greatest questions. I don't understand all of its mysteries. I don't know why one relationship lasts 50 years while another quietly fades away. I don't know why suffering visits one family and seems to pass another by. The older I become, the more comfortable I have become saying 3 simple words. I don't know. Perhaps that is wisdom. I am not writing because I have life figured out. I am writing because I don't like you. I'm figuring it out by living it. I stumble. I question. I change my mind. Yesterday's certainty often becomes today's lesson. Apparently, this old fart is still enrolled in the University of Life. The tuition is expensive. The exams are never announced. And just when I think I've finally figured something out, life smiles and hands me another assignment. Tomorrow morning, I'll probably grab another coffee and wander through UTC. I'll pass hundreds of people. Some will be surrounded by others and quietly feel lonely. Others will be walking by themselves and feel completely at peace. I won't know which is which. Neither will anyone else. Maybe that's why we should be a little kinder, a little slower to judge, a little quicker to listen. Because we never really know what another person is carrying. These days, I no longer ask whether I am alone. I ask something much more important. Am I helping the people in my life feel seen? Am I choosing connection over convenience? Am I living in a way that helps someone else feel they belong? I think those are the questions worth carrying, because the opposite of being alone is company. The opposite of loneliness is belonging. Peter J. Merrick, A.K.A. Old Fart, still learning, still questioning, still discovering that the richest life isn't measured by what we accumulate, but by the people who know us, the people we help feel seen, and the places where we quietly discover we belong.